Hello everyone and welcome back to the Ether Hub. I'm Simon, bringing you more Magic the Gathering lore. Today's video discussion will be a bit more somber than you typically see from this channel, and that's because a gem of the MTG story, a staple for years to many of us in the Vorthos community, has officially met their end in War of the Spark. Of course, we expected some Planeswalkers to not make it out alive, but this isn't a Planeswalker. This is a guildmaster on Ravnica who's been with us for years in the story, each time getting a brand new card for each new Ravnica set. Break out them tissues, Vorthos army. Niv Mizzet, the parent of the Izzet League, has died. But before I go any further, I want you guys to stick around for the end of this video because we're doing a special giveaway series for all topic discussions on War of the Spark. Stay tuned for all the details at the end of this video. So this actually wasn't too shocking for me personally. I had already predicted his death during Guilds of Ravnica and Ravnica Allegiance. Not to toot my own horn, but I got a load of predictions correct for War of the Spark, and I bet there's more to come. Wink wink. But this isn't time to gloat, it's a time to mourn for a dragon taken from us far too early. I mean, Niv Mizzet was a spry couple thousand years old, taken from us in his prime. So we had a few cards drop for War of the Spark that really emphasized that Mizzy was going to die. One of the first from War of the Spark itself was Rising Populace. The seemingly harmless uncommon shows the people of Ravnica marching for those they've lost, and in the background you see a picture of Niv Mizzet, so yeah, that wasn't a good sign. People don't go ahead and march with your face on a sign for any real positive reason, so I'll go ahead and tell you that right now. Then we got Proof Positive, Firemind Vessel, the flavor text reading that the city mourned for Niv Mizzet's death. Of course, this memorial he left to himself in his own liking, as Niv Mizzet tends to do. He really was quite egotistical, but in a likable way. Yet, Niv Mizzet didn't just up and die out of nowhere. This dragon's far too smart for that. He saw it coming and set up some safeguards, along with backup plans, as all great thinkers do. We'll get into that later in the discussion, but now let's explore what Niv Mizzet was up to moments before his final end. All of this can of course be found within the pages of the official War of the Spark novel. I picked mine up and read it twice, just so I can summarize events in this video, but I highly suggest everyone go out and read it for themselves. I have some pretty strong personal opinions about the book and the writing style, but that's only my opinion, and you're free to make up your own if you decide to pick it up and give it a read. If not, hey, you always have these videos to give you a glimpse, a window of what actually happened. Well, Niv Mizzet, being the intelligent dragon he is, uncovered the truth about Planeswalkers and the plot of an external threat coming to Ravnica in the near future. He discovered this through his second-in-command of the Izzet, the Planeswalker Ral Zarek.
Every problem has a solution. Let's start by taking you out of the equation.
Though a genius in and of himself, he wasn't as capable of hiding his true intentions and abilities as he thought. Ral was working on a secret project to track Planeswalkers who entered and left Ravnica known as Project Lightning Bug. Niv Mizzet took that research and designed and repurposed it for his own needs.
So many planes, so many mysteries.
This is what became the interplanar beacon that would signal numerous Planeswalkers to come to Ravnica at the same time. Niv Mizzet believed that the only way to fight an extreme interplanar threat like Nicol Bolas was with more Planeswalkers whose lives were threatened by the same force. This would prompt them to defeat Bolas, saving Ravnica, even if it was just to save themselves. However, Niv Mizzet wanted to set in motion a plan so that he could defeat the threat of Bolas himself if need be. However, that would require the unknown powers of the GUILDPACT itself. The GUILDPACT is the ancient magic set in place by Azor before he lost his mind and spark on Ixalan. The magic literally compels all those on Ravnica to follow strict guidelines to keep peace. In recent years, the pact went from a magical document to a written agreement to Jace Beleren, who now stands as the living GUILDPACT, essentially making his word law on the plane of Ravnica. Yet, to be effective, Niv Mizzet needed that power for himself, not trusting a mind mage like Beleren to unlock its true potential against a multiversal threat. So another secret project started to give the power of the GUILDPACT to Niv Mizzet instead was started. A project he abandoned his own guild to work on in isolation. This was brought on by a failed assassination attempt on Niv Mizzet's life, meaning the threat of Bolas was closer than first predicted, and this project needed to be a top priority. And just to clarify, Niv Mizzet didn't necessarily want to be the living Guildpact, but to remove the Guildpact and funnel its magical potential into himself. This could mean that the Guildpact was potentially gone forever and that power would now be given to Niv Mizzet. And although that wasn't his chief concern, I mean, come on. Having the power of the Guildpact could prove valuable to the dragon. In leaving the guild, Ral Zarek suddenly found himself in the position of guildmaster, a role he's wanted for as long as the young planeswalker could remember. He even plotted to overthrow Niv Mizzet a few times just to get it.
Ugh, my guildmaster is really dragging me down. That's not a joke. He's an actual dragon.
Now, Niv Mizzet was missing, and he was the leader of the Izzet League. Still, it didn't feel like his guild. Niv Mizzet wouldn't ever make such a move unless it was planned out at least 3 moves in advance. Despite his new mantle and power, Ral Zarek still felt like a pawn in another player's game, whether that be Niv Mizzet or someone else, like Bolas. Ral Zarek played this middleman role well. In the beginning, he had joined Bolas through an intermediate, Tezzeret, as Bolas had promised him the mantle of Guildmaster of the Izzet League in exchange for his service. Still, Ral was smart enough to know that everything has a cost, and when Bolas asked him to fit the Lightning Bug project into a beacon, Ral left it open-ended for Niv Mizzet to think he too could use this to protect Ravnica.
For every action there's a reaction, and you are not gonna like this one.
In essence, this was the duality of the beacon. Yes, it aided Bolas in summoning the planeswalkers he needed to steal the sparks of, but it also provided the forces needed to take on the Dragon Planeswalker once he and his army landed on Ravnica. Who did this help more? Well, clearly Bolas, but there could also be an argument made that this was what needed to happen in order to protect Ravnica as well. And this is certainly what Ral Zarek told Niv Mizzet. Of course, as we know that Niv Mizzet eventually dies, rest in peace, we have to understand where his plan failed. Enter the new leader of the Azorius Senate, Dovin Bane. Like Ral Zarek, Dovin was promised something of great value by Bolas, that being the chance to craft the perfect orderly world, a chance to perfect the guild system of Ravnica. It was a prize too great for him to pass up, and so he went along with Bolas's plot. The mistake Niv Mizzet and Ral Zarek made was bringing in the new leader of the Azorius to their plan and informing him of the device that would give the power of the Guildpact to Niv Mizzet. Dovin played a convincing role, that he would be their ally against the threat that was coming. However, when Bolas broke through the hall of the Guildpact and brought forth his army of Eternals, Dovin sabotaged this device, and ultimately kept Jace Beleren as the living Guildpact, meaning Niv Mizzet didn't get the power he needed to beat Bolas. This is where we get to see his final stand, the last act of Niv Mizzet, and it flops. Without the extra power, the former leader of the Izzet League is easily disposed of by Bolas himself. Ravnica only has enough room for one hyper-intelligent, egotistical dragon on it apparently, and that dragon is clearly Bolas. Bolas was well aware of Niv Mizzet's prowess, pull, and influence on Ravnica. His intelligence would threaten Bolas's plan if left unchecked, so Niv Mizzet should feel proud that Bolas saw fit to kill Niv Mizzet as one of his first acts on Ravnica, fighting and literally burning Niv Mizzet to a charred skeleton. This is why the people are revolting for their loss, why our heroes are following his breadcrumb trail of clues and hints. But of course, this death doesn't mean the end of Niv Mizzet. He always has a plan B. This backup is seen in the card Contentious Plan. Niv Mizzet had perfected this plan, but it was up to the mortal minds to agree and ultimately implement it. That is our heroes, the Gatewatch along with Vraska, working over what Niv Mizzet had left behind. That being a plan to come back and whoop Bolas's ass. Even before this fateful encounter, Niv Mizzet knew there was a chance he wouldn't be thinking his way out of death. He wasn't that egotistical, but he was enough to think that he could cheat death and hit the reset button, all while gaining the power of the Guildpact at the same time. So yeah, not humble at all. It would take the assistance of another dragon, the twin of Bolas, Ugin, and a mad dragon idealist, Sarkhan Vol, to ensure Niv Mizzet's plan is successful. And working with Ugin the spirit dragon, Niv Mizzet creates a device to house his soul. Ugin happens to know a lot about that stuff. The device could house Niv Mizzet's essence for 100 years, and he could potentially be brought back in a similar way Sarkhan had done to Ugin back on Tarkir. That's kinda why he was involved as well. But that's not plan A. The true plan is to have Niv Mizzet resurrected by the other guilds and made into the living guildpact at the same time, with the essence of Niv Mizzet stored, and Sarkhan taking the fancy box holding it to the meditation realm for safekeeping, Niv Mizzet properly prepared for his death and eventual rebirth. As the heroes of the Gatewatch, namely Jace Beleren, follow his breadcrumbs to resurrecting him, they need to unlock the secrets of the Fire Mind. Discovering that it would take the magic of all the guilds on Ravnica at the point of Bolas' origin on this plane, the Hall of the Guildpact, funneled into his vessel in order to revive the body of Niv Mizzet. Jace would then relinquish his powers of the living guildpact as the final ingredient, and the dragon's soul would be combined in as well, resulting in the savior of Ravnica. And that's the perfect recipe for a well-cooked Niv Mizzet. That's right, enter in the new Niv Mizzet avatar. Oh, you Niv Mizzet fanboys out there, you can't keep a good dragon down for long, and it looks like Niv Mizzet is back for round 2, and goddamn does this look like a sexy beast. The true savior of Ravnica, who was once dead but has risen anew, Niv Mizzet Reborn. We can talk religious parallels all day, but no lie guys, this is how Ravnica is saved. This avatar, the essence of all the guilds combined, should be enough to stay off the god dragon Nicol Bolas. This is the grand plan and design of Niv Mizzet, to gain the power of the Guildpact and cause enough trouble to defeat Bolas. And looking at his reborn form, goddamn right that should be enough. Well, sort of. The new Niv Mizzet Reborn's first challenge would be one of the God Eternals Bolas brought with him from Amonkhet. He would face off against the once wisest of the gods, Kefnet, now nothing more than a mindless undead bound to his god pharaoh. Niv Mizzet's powers were incredible, especially as the living guildpact. With the strength of Ravnica itself, the dragon was able to defeat the god. Yet, in doing so, the mind magic of Kefnet bounced and knocked Niv Mizzet out. This would put him out of commission for a while, but it was still a major victory for the citizens of Ravnica. Though Niv Mizzet wouldn't have that epic 1-on-1 battle with Nicol Bolas, round 2, he would be instrumental in the god dragon's defeat. Yet, he wouldn't be able to do it alone. At the final chapters of Bolas' campaign, we find that Liliana Vess has properly rebelled and has taken control of the last remaining God Eternals and turned them on their own God Pharaoh. Oketra, once the true, was all but obliterated by the power of Bolas, but its sacrifice served as a distraction for Bantu, the lost god that has been redeemed. Though only a mindless tool now, the crocodile god bit deep into the scales of Bolas. Using the power the Eternals had, given by Bolas himself, Bantu at the command of Liliana Vess desparked the god. Niv Mizzet in this fight poetically used the Spear of Hazaret, the only god of Amonkhet to live through the madness there. Plunging the spear deep into the back of Bolas, the Eternals and Liliana were given a chance to push back against the god dragon, thus leading to his final capture and imprisonment by Ugin in the meditation realm. And there you guys have it, the life, death, and resurrection of Niv Mizzet in the War of the Spark. Of course, a lot of questions still remain from the fallout of this story. With Niv Mizzet being the avatar of Ravnica itself, he can't remain as the Izzet guildmaster, right? So is that going to be Ral Zarek from now on? Is he still the Guildpact, or is that power gone now? Is Jace free to suspend his duties on Ravnica, finally removing us from this iconic plane in a story sense? So many more questions that I'll leave to you guys in the comment section below. As mentioned, I'm going to do a series of giveaways to help promote the videos here on War of the Spark, giving away the topics of discussion signed by me to one lucky viewer per video. To enter, you have to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, and share the video around. Share it with friends, social media, on Reddit, wherever you can. The channel's trying to bring Vorthos content to the mainstream, and just imagine having a lore channel at 100k subscribers. Can't do it without you guys, and you'll be entering for a chance to win a signed copy of Niv Mizzet Reborn while you're at it. As always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time here on the Ether Hub. See ya!